What's up, everybody? This is Chris from DigitalREM. Welcome back to our course of creating 3D text in Blender. This is the second video to the course of creating 3D text in Blender, where we will show you how to convert your curves into mesh now. So pretty much we're going to hit the ground running. We're converting your curves that we used to create the shapes of the text into a mesh object so we can move along with the process. So let's just go ahead and get started and rock it out just like that. Boom. Now you see that our scene, as we created before, has our shapes that we created from before. So we have our curve that's actually being modified by this curve, or this bevel that's actually being modified by this curve. So when we move it, left and right, so on and so forth. Let me get the handles out. But when we, manipulate it, it manipulates the bevel, and we could just pretty much build out our shape like that. So boom, you can see how that works. So we're gonna put this back to where it was. And now we're gonna show you how to convert these curves, this curve into a mesh, utilizing what you already have. So what you wanna do is go ahead and first and foremost, you wanna name your layers. Name your layers. So we're gonna call this shape build. No, bevel shape. We're gonna call that one bevel shape. We're gonna call this, we could leave that as text. Now default, no, text build. Let's call it a text build. And this is what I always recommend. You make sure that you label your stuff and always save. Just always make sure you continue to save. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and duplicate this text. So what we wanna do is just go ahead and go into object mode. If you need to get into object mode, you hit tab, or you can go here and then go from edit mode to object mode. So you want to get into object mode. And you might think that this is still a text shape from before. So these aren't actually, this is an actual mesh, even though it looks like a mesh. It's not an actual mesh right now. So what we want to do is go ahead and duplicate this. So by doing Shift D, or better yet, I'm giving you the shortcuts, which I definitely try not to do, but by duplicating object, we can do duplicate object. And if you need to learn the shortcuts, you just hit the Shift D. They'll be right next to it. So Shift D, we're going to duplicate that object. Make sure you hit 0 so it doesn't show move anywhere, and you can just leave it right where it was. So this is a text build number 2. That's going to be what we're gonna edit. So with that being said, why I say we're gonna edit, we're gonna save what we built out previously so we can keep a build file, so we'll always have reference to go back to if we want to change the text font, if we want to change the shape, or whatever the case may be. We can always go back into the build layer and be able to do that. So that's what we're going to do with this. So what we want to do is go ahead and grab the text, the original text layer, and then the original bevel layer, or the only bevel layer, but the curve. And we want to create a group out of this. So you either go to object, make group, I believe, group collection. I say group, a collection, make a collection, and you make a collection like that. And we want to make this new collection, and we'll call this text build, right? And you can name it whatever you want, but I tend to keep it simple, text build. And this will be the text build collection, where now we can have something to always go back to rebuild the shapes or do whatever we have to do. We can always go back. But for now, we just want to go ahead and toggle this off. Toggle all of this off. Right? So only thing we can see is that duplicate that we made. Now that we have the duplicate that we made, and it has all of the settings that we had before, what we want to do is go ahead and convert this to a mesh. So we added in, before we actually convert this to a mesh, let's do one more thing. Even though it doesn't look like we will need this, I'm just going to show you how to do it, because I said in the beginning that I was going to show you how to do this. So we're going to add more resolution to this. So if you probably notice, like, these edges are kind of, they're kind of squared off a little bit. It's kind of square. We want that a little more detail, a little more sharp, a little more not sharp, a little more smooth. So what we want to do is go ahead and add a modifier. So we're going to add a subdivision modifier, and how we get to that is go to the wrench tool in the attributes editor side here, hit the wrench tool, and you'll see add modifier. We're going to left click and add modifier, and then go to subdivision surface right here. Subdivision surface is going to give you more surface, you know, more to. And I actually might have done this too early in the process, right? So we're going to take that off. We're going to remove that, and what we're going to do is go ahead and convert this into a mesh real quick. So what we want to do is go to object mode, convert to mesh. It was a text, it was a curve before, now it's a mesh. And the way you can tell that it converted to a mesh is because you'll have this little triangle thing. Like, I'm gonna Control Z back out, and you see it was a curve. It was a curve before. That's what this little icon means. But now you want it to convert it to a mesh, so you want to make it a triangle, or it will look like a triangle. So you want to go to convert to mesh, curve, mesh, so on. So we convert it to a mesh. Now when we add the subdivision modifier, it still looks pretty bad. Let's see what I can do to oh, don't freeze on me. Don't freeze on me. Let's just remove that. Boom. What we will do for now is let's put a bevel modifier. Bevel modifier real quick. Boom. And that bevel modifier should actually help with some of these curves. So we want to do like 3. Even though we already did a bevel modifier, and I don't want to overcomplicate this. And actually I won't overcomplicate this. Let's keep it very, very simple for now. We'll just keep it very, very simple for now, right? Boom. Yeah. Shade smooth. Let's just do a shade smooth and make sure everything's good to go. Let's turn off this. I want to get a better feel for what this how smooth it looks. So what we're gonna do is go into different shading mode, and we're gonna put matte cap. Matte cap, we're gonna turn this to red so we can just see how smooth it looks, if it looks choppy or not. So how I got to that is go up here at the top here. If you go to the viewport shading, go ahead and select that, and then once you select that, you can hit shading, and then you were probably in studio, you can just hit matte cap, and if you select the cylinder or the ball, circle, whatever you want to call it, you select that, you'll have all these different like shading options you could choose from. And I like to use this one because it has a nice little reflectivity, and it can show me better where it's not smooth yet. So, but at the end of the day, it looks pretty smooth. I'm not gonna lie, I might be able to not have to subdivide this and just sit on it just like this. So we will just sit on it just like that. I'm gonna leave this shading just like this for now. Actually, let's put it back to regular, just in case anybody who's trying to catch up and they don't see. So what I also want to do is make sure you hit that drop down arrow, but we want to take the outline off. Is it the outline? Is it the outline? It's not the outline. Here we go. Wireframe. So under this one here, show overlays, we want to take that wireframe off. Boom, the wireframe is off. All right, so it looks like I don't have it set on that one. So we have to go here to the object properties, and let's see if it's on here. Wireframe is on here at the viewport display, and we can turn that wireframe off just like that. So you see there's multiple areas that the wireframe could be on at, and you just have to play around and see where it might be on at. And again, all of this, even me navigating through this, definitely take heed to where I'm clicking. At the end of the day, that's what this lesson is about. These lessons are about. It's not always necessarily about me straight through clicking and show you step by step, but even in the areas where I'm clicking, trying to figure where something might be, you'll probably learn where you can find other elements, you know, when you need to be adaptable to everything that's, if you would need to adapt, put it like that, right? You'll find out where other elements are. So what we're gonna do is merge, make sure there's no straggling vertices by merging vertices by distance. So we're gonna select all of our verts, and you can do that by going into object mode or edit mode. You can go to edit mode this way as well. Then we put the X-ray on so we can select all sides and not just the front faces. And then we want to go ahead and merge vertex, merge, is it vertex? Mesh. I usually right click, but I'm definitely trying to make it where it's very user friendly. Merge by distance. And I believe it merged all of those together. Let's see what it looks like. Now I hope it didn't merge anything that I didn't want. It looked like it did. So we're gonna do that again. Mesh, merge by distance. We're gonna go ahead and hit that. There's a little icon. You won't be able to see it because my face is in the way. There's a little icon or a little option menu be here at the bottom, and you could toggle the distance of that merge distance to be lower than what it is. That's when toggle it higher, and that's when you toggle it lower. So boom. And what I'm gathering is that this isn't necessarily going to give me the best results. So I'm gonna just Control Z out of that. I wanted to merge by distance, but it's really not giving me what I'm looking for. And I'm gonna just live with this. So boom. We're just gonna live with that. So we wanted to merge by distance, but really it's giving us all the artifacts inside. So we're just gonna keep it simple and keep it like that. So we did convert to mesh. Now one other thing that we want to do, I'm gonna put in the default scene. This doesn't come in your Blender scene, but it is in mine. And what I'm gonna do is put a floor, and I just want to make sure this is up against the floor perfectly, somewhat perfectly. There's no perfect, but somewhat perfectly. So we're gonna put it up against the floor perfectly and go ahead and line this with our scene. Boom. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn that back off. So now you have DREM and DigitalREM, DREM, all in one area. So what we covered here, yeah, actually let me just hop back out of this thing. All right, so what we covered here was basically how to convert your text to mesh, or convert your curves into a mesh. At the end of the day, we showed you how to convert your curves to a mesh. So how to, for one, our process of saving with your build file, what we consider your build layer. So your curves for your editing of the text and your curves for the editing of the bevel, saving those into a collection and saving that collection as your build file, but then also making a duplicate of the actual mesh that you created and converting that duplicate into a into a mesh. So converting that curved duplicate into a text mesh and labeling your layers. So pretty much that's the most important thing you can do is label your layers, and pretty much that's what we got from this. Even though we were trying to merge vertices, we were trying to do a couple of other things, which again, it didn't necessarily work for the case we're using it for right now. So we didn't do that, but you were able to still follow along. When we were trying to merge vertices, you were able to see how to do that as well, and then how to add resolution. So how to add in resolution by using the modifier tool. So how to add subdivisions by using the modifier tool, which we didn't use again because it just didn't give us what we wanted at the time. But the main thing I did want to cover was how to convert your text to mesh and how to duplicate your build files and then save your build file collection as its own collection and just toggle the visibility off, so you can always go back and change and edit the build file and edit the changes, and then, you know, again, duplicate it and convert to mesh again. So while we're converting to mesh is because in a later lesson we're going to start to assign color values to each individual face. So we need to create a mesh so we can assign those color values to individual faces. So in the later lesson we're going to cover that, so stay tuned. Hope to see you in the next lesson. Later, y'all. Peace.